Hello and welcome to the Long Day's Journey into Film podcast. I'm Russ, here with my co-host,
Andy here.
And we're going to talk about some movies, more specifically, the entire Hellraiser franchise. So stick around if you want to hear about all those. Also, I want to shout out the Movies and More Discord server. There's a lot of cool people over there, and some cool movie events. That's the main server that that both of us actually are on for the most part.
Yeah.
At least I think you're on there.
Where we met each other.
Yeah.
I'm not in the Film Collective, so.
And yeah, also shout out to the Film Collective, another great movie server, that one's also cool. So check out both of those. I'll put a link in the description down below. Also, I have a Criterion pickup video. Everything that me and Liam from a couple weeks ago. Everything we bought for the Criterion sale, that's on the YouTube channel only because it's a video and we can't have that on Spotify and stuff. So check that out if you want. There'll be a link to the YouTube in the description for Spotify as well. Anything else we should say before we get into the discussion?
I think we covered it pretty much.
So starting off, we got Hellraiser from 1987, directed by Clive Barker. It's based on the book The Hellbound Heart, which was written by Clive Barker. And it's about an unfaithful wife encounters the zombie of her dead lover while the demonic Cenobites are pursuing him after he escapes their sadomasochistic underworld. I don't know if that's exactly how I describe the movie, but that's pretty much. This is the Letterboxd description, but
it's a bit of an odd description, but yeah, it's pretty much
a zombie. I don't know if I'd really call Frank a zombie, but anyway, and yeah, this is the start of the franchise in 1987. And so, what do you think of it?
It's easily the best one. I mean, I don't think anyone could argue against that. There's just something about the atmosphere in the script that just nails everything.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's also my favorite of the whole franchise. It's just generally one of my favorite horror movies. Actually, I really enjoy it. Oh, by the way, all of the discussion from here on out, all 10 movies, will be a spoiler discussion. So people who haven't seen it, maybe, I don't know, should we talk about this one a little bit spoiler-free first? Just, because if someone hasn't seen all of them, maybe they'd want to hear about the first one or whatever. Or what do you think?
I mean, yeah, we can scoot around on Hellraiser for a little bit.
Yeah, so, yeah, I really like this one. I don't know, it's just, I really love it. I love the effects. I like the characters. I think the plot's really interesting.
The atmosphere is very on point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's really got a lot going on in it, kind of, without it being too much. Like, it's got an interesting plot, I think, a lot more than people kind of give it credit for. Because, before I seen it, I thought it was just kind of like just like a generic slasher movie or something. And I don't know, I really like the story in it. Yeah, I haven't read the book, The Hellbound Heart, by Clive Barker, but I heard it was good, so I don't know. But,
I mean, as far as horror icons go, Pinhead is quite a bit different from the rest of the slashers because I wouldn't really classify him as a slasher because, not to get too spoiler here, but he operates as where the Cenobites, they operate on a code.
Fuck it, let's just do spoilers. I don't want to try to dance around it. Alright, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning, everyone. If you care about it and haven't seen it, we definitely recommend. I would recommend the first 3 for sure. Just to say. I think first 3 are great. Past that, we'll get into it. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend, especially the first one is really great. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for it, go watch it and come back to this if you want. Or if you just don't really care about spoilers, then yeah.
I kind of actually have an interesting history with Hellraiser because when I was I don't remember how old I was, but I was out looking for Halloween costumes with my dad and sister, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted until I spotted a costume of Pinhead. But I hadn't seen the fucking movie yet, so my dad was like, "Hey, I'll buy it for you." I was like, "Okay." So I watched it, and I was obviously way too young to understand what was going on. So I wasn't really interested in it at the time. So it wasn't till a few years later when I decided to rewatch it that it kind of just finally hit for me, and it really shaped my interest in horror.
Yeah, that's Yeah, I just saw it last. I think last October. I watched it for the first time and was surprised by how much I liked it. But that's it. That's cool. Yeah,
I didn't
like how old do you think? Like, it kind of depends. Like 10 years old, 6 years old. Like, how old do you think you're?
probably about 11, 12, maybe 10. No, I think 11 or 12.
Yeah, that's kind of around the time I watched From Dusk Till Dawn on TV, and that's kind of influenced my taste as well. So that was kind of my Hellraiser, if you
I
will.
mean, my family's always been into horror, so horror movies have always been on the TV, but I wasn't ever really interested in too horror until, I guess, the Pinhead costume, and then a later time, Scream. But maybe we'll have an episode in the future about Scream, the
Oh
whole
yeah,
franchise,
because
because
that's like it's a favorite of yours, isn't it?
Scream is my favorite movie of all time because it's like the movie that started it all for me. But we'll get into that later. At
Yeah.
another time.
Anyway, back to the movie. So
The first movie in particular, well, actually the first two, I would say, because they had the most involvement from Clive Barker.
yeah, that was like his
Have more to it in the background compared to the rest of the franchise. There's like small hints and thematic elements.
Yeah, like I said before, I kind of expected it. It's like Pinhead. He is a horror icon, even if he's not, maybe as famous as like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, he is like recognizable. Like I remember, I don't know, seeing posters or like a DVD in a $5 bin somewhere of Pinhead, and like I knew who that was. I knew that was like a horror icon. But like in the first movie, he's not really like big of a thing as he is in later movies. Like
He's not
he doesn't even have a name. I don't
technically
think. Like
a
they don't even
bad.
call him
He's
Pin.
not even the bad guy of the film, really.
I mean, he is kind of like a bad guy in it, but he's not like the villain, like the typical like villain. I mean, it's more of like fucking. What are their names? Julia and Frank are more of the villains of the movie. That's something that as the series goes on, or as the franchise goes on, they kind of turn him into like the generic kind of, he's the big bad guy that shows up and kills people and stuff. And I really like his character. Yeah, because I don't think he actually has a name until the third one or he's not actually called like Pinhead. I think maybe like
He's
twice
called
in this
Lead.
whole series.
He's not listed as Pinhead in the first one. He's called Lead Cenobite.
Lead Cenobite. Yeah, I saw somewhere it's like his name was the priest. I think that was like referred to maybe in the book. He was a priest, but like, he's on the poster and stuff because he looks fucking cool. But yeah, it wasn't really the main focus because like, yeah, the whole thing with like the whole first like half of the movie. I'm not sure at which point the Pinhead kind of comes into it, but like a whole huge chunk of the movie is just Julia, I think was her name. Yeah, Julia. Like,
Julia.
Bring guys back to the house to kill them and feed them to Frank. So
is very based around how do I say the word, promiscuity? Promiscuous activity and perversion, really.
Yeah, that's something. It's kind of almost kind of like an erotic horror drama in a way, like with the whole like sadomasochism angle with Frank,
and definitely with their costumes, the Cenobites.
Oh, for sure, and like the whole thing with Julia and Frank, having an affair, and then like Julia bring guys back, under the pretense like she was gonna fuck him or whatever, and then killing him and feeding him to Frank. That's one thing I don't really get. They do it several times throughout the series, especially in the earlier ones. So Frank got torn apart in the room, and then the fuck are their names? Cotton, I think. The Cotton family. They're like moving back into the house, and the father like cuts his hand, and blood spills through the floorboards. And then what? It like fucking like touches like what? Like his like a bit of flesh that was left over, or
resurrect him. I guess
I don't
when
really
you
get that.
Open
There's like an element of it.
I guess when you open the Lamet configuration, the cube,
the puzzle box.
Yeah, it just you're opening a new dimension when you open the fucking box. So
yeah,
I guess some of that new dimension bleeds into our world.
Yeah, because it's like
things don't work like they normally would.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's like there's some stuff like that I just don't really get about the universe and stuff. But like, you're not really supposed to. I mean, they don't overtly like explain. Okay, so this is what happens when he gets resurrected as a, it's like, so that's that's fine. But I don't really get like. Also, like they pull him apart, rip him apart or whatever. Frank, Pinhead, and the Cenobites, and then I guess they clean it up because there's not like blood and guts all over the room, but there's still like some blood or like flesh or whatever in the floorboards. Like, did they just miss that, or because I was kind of under the impression it was like once he summons them, he goes to their dimension and they tear him apart because there's never like a crime scene or a fucking like bloody mess. But why would it still be some of it? I don't know, just little things. I don't quite get that element of it. I think there's more of that type of thing in 2 and 3 as well. But I don't know. It's still yes. So she has to kill guys, and he like kind of consumes them, like their essence and like their blood or whatever. And he's like, I really like the first scene when he it's like the backwards melting. It's like the effect, which is really cool of him. Like, that's such a cool effect. I mean, it looks kind of cheesy when he's like talking to her and he's got like the skin face, and it looks kind of cheesy. But I really love the effect of when he's like, it's like melting, but they obviously reversed it, so it looks like he's like coming up into being.
Yeah, he's coming out of the floorboards.
Yeah. Just in general, effects in this movie is great. Like all the gore and like the blood, just little things.
Effects will always beat special.
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, fuck. But like, there's also the CGI or whatever electric that appears like on the puzzle box, and
I mean it's that stuff is like bad, but it doesn't bother me.
Oh, it doesn't bother me either.
With the aesthetic of the film.
Yeah, it's just like compared to like the the other like the practical effects, it looks very cheesy, but I like that.
There were definitely worse effects later on in the series compared to the
for sure. We'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that.
There was, I think it's right before everything happens and they're first walking into the house. There's a little shot of a roach, and it's slowly crawling towards this figurine of 2 lovers, like marble. I guess it's like a marble figurine, and like that kind of just like is the film, pretty much.
Yeah, like that's kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, kind of I don't know what does a roach represent.
I guess the roach would represent like the filth, the Cenobites.
Yeah.
Or like the toxic parts of the relationship.
Yeah, because it is like my mind's drawing a blank for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, there is a lot of religious imagery and iconography throughout the house.
Oh yeah,
and the movie in general.
Actually, through a lot of the movies, there's a lot of religious imagery, especially in 3.
Especially in the third. Yeah, the third one.
Yeah, with
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Is Frank, when he gets, I don't know, resurrected or revived, reanimated, is he like, I don't know, is he like still person, or is he kind of because in the second movie, we'll talk about the second movie more when we get to that, but like the second movie, it's like they're more evil when they come back, and like they're not even really human anymore. Kind of, they're like, I don't know where I was going.
I mean, I guess it kind of like touches upon like they get a taste of that power, like because the whole like essential theme throughout the series is the idea that pain with pleasure.
Yeah, and like the
and when they're drawn into
desire
the other realm, they're like piqued with that, so it like overrides their desire.
I really like that. It's an interesting idea for a horror movie, and I really love the way the Cenobite look. Like the female Cenobite, like her throat ripped open, and the Pinhead obviously with the pins in his head, and the
makeup is
Shatter
very
guy is
interesting
fucking cool.
Because I mean, there's a couple of Cenobites aside from Pinhead that are like just white. They're like painted white almost.
Yeah.
It's like white and black and leather and gore. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
That's fine. I mean, we'll get into it more as we go along. We'll know what we're talking about. But I also really like that. I really like that Pinhead. He's not really a cheesy villain. He's not like a slasher villain in this. He's
I love the way he says every line.
Yeah, he's very like composed, and he seems kind of like more like,
it's almost,
I don't know. Yeah, he's not like Freddy Krueger acting, fucking like quipping and stuff. Well, that's fun in this.
But not in the
like
first
in this
one, at least.
Yeah, I really like that he's yeah, like you said, kind of theatrical, and he's like, yeah, I like the way he says stuff, and like
there's weight to every word he says.
He's really got a presence, when he comes into the room. It's like, man, fucking Pinhead or the priest or whatever the fucking
Doug Bradley really is Pinhead. I mean, that's the case for a lot of horror icons. It's hard to 100%. See any other actor in that position.
Yeah, especially in the later movies when he's not Pinhead. Even the later ones when they're not very good, he's still great as Pinhead all the way through all of them. He's really good.
He's usually the saving grace or the only watchable parts of some of these.
Oh, watchable for sure, but like whatever scene he's in the later ones when they start to suck, that's the best part of the movie. But still, some of those I wouldn't say it's exactly saves it, because but I really like the scene when like the first time Julia brings a guy back to kill for Frank. Because she like brings him up to the room, and like you kind of think Frank is gonna do something like kill him or whatever, but then she like hits him with a hammer. I just thought that was like a really good scene. It's kind of the first like kill scene. I mean, obviously the beginning with Frank being pulled apart and stuff, but it's kind of the first kill of the movie, and
it's a very blunt way to go. Just a hammer to the back of the head compared to Frank getting torn apart.
Yeah, it's very visceral. And I heard that there's like I'm not sure which cut of the movie I watched, but there's like a extended cut where the scene's more graphic or something, I think, with the hammer, and some other stuff was cut out, but I don't know which version I watched. I hope I saw the full version. I hate it when I see like an edited down thing, but
I mean, I saw it on Blu-ray. I have the DVD somewhere too.
Yeah, I have the Arrow Blu-ray of it. I kind of want to get that like Arrow set. It's like it might be out of print actually, but it's like the puzzle box, and it like it comes apart. And it looks so fucking cool. I wish I had that. I think it's the first 3. That one is.
Yeah, that would definitely be something. I think I've always wanted that. That's always been like something I've wanted, but I'm pretty sure it's out of print, like you said, and hard to find.
You can probably get it on eBay for like $300 used.
Because I was looking at the Nightmare on Elm Street collection on DVD, I think it was. They have a VHS, but I remember seeing the trailer for that as a kid, that whole collection of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I almost bought it a couple months ago, but I didn't go through with it because I got outbid, but anyways.
Yeah, I have Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just the basic Blu-ray. It's nothing special. It's not got fancy.
I don't even have any Blu-ray of it. I first saw it on VHS, which is like probably one of the best ways to watch an 80s horror movie.
Yeah, I kind of wish I could see some of those older movies on VHS. It just sounds like such a vibe,
That's how I got introduced.
I might have a VHS player in the attic actually, because my parents had one.
My TV had a VHS player built into it, and we had a huge VHS collection.
Can you hook like a VHS player up to like a modern TV, or does it need to plug into like an older one?
I'm sure there's a way. There's always a way to figure shit out. People figure shit out all the time, especially when it comes to horror fans. And
yeah, I'm sure there is. That would be that'd be fun to watch Hellraiser on VHS.
It'd be cool to see it on like VHS, but there's a certain I guess you could argue you should watch it on like an old, I forget what they're called, an older box TV.
Yeah. If you're watching it on like a big modern flat screen on VHS, that might not be that fun, but.
Because I got introduced, I watched Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street on VHS.
So back to the movie.
Yeah.
I have a few more things I wanted to point out. I really like the way the story plays out from the introducing the Cenobites stuff at the beginning to all the Frank stuff. Because I heard people complaining like too much Frank stuff. I don't like that. I just want to see Pinhead. But like, I think that's why the movie's so good. Is because it's really it's not just like Pinhead's gonna come and rip you apart, and that's scary. It's just I feel like it's smarter than that. It's better plot. I think it's more interesting.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And then it's like, the whole thing with what's her name? Kirsty?
Yeah.
Kirsty? I think it's Kirsty. Yeah,
That's
she
Kirsty.
how does that happen? She summons the Cenobites through the puzzle box.
Yeah.
And then she says like, I'll take you to Frank because he's back. Which I guess they weren't even really aware that he was like resurrected or whatever. But
Yeah.
and that's something that I feel like as the franchise goes on, Pinhead and the Cenobites they become more all-knowing. Like they know everything that's happening and stuff, and they're more in control. Where in this one, they feel like they just kind of come here to do the thing, come and rip you apart or whatever. And and they're not even really like villains in this. I mean, if you're fucking around with the demonic puzzle box, like you should expect something bad to happen,
Yeah,
like
definitely not
they're just like doing their job.
Yeah.
Like they're not
They
even
have
really
a
like
code, which makes it interesting compared to other slasher villains.
like it's kind of fucked up, but like still, I mean, like if you knew what you were getting into, there's really nothing wrong with it. I don't think. And but I like how the whole movie plays out, and then like Frank's wearing her father's skin and stuff, and then they like come for him, and just that whole sequence when they like come for him and they have the hooks in him and tear him apart. And the
Jesus
famous
wept.
Yeah, Jesus wept line. That's the classic. Apparently, that was originally supposed to be just like he says like "fuck you" and then they rip him apart. But he like the actor like ad-libbed that.
It. Yeah.
So that's cool. It's always cool when it's like some of the most iconic lines and stuff was just ad-libbed. Yeah. But that's a whole cool sequence. And the one thing that's kind of odd is like the Cenobites are like coming for Kirsty and who the fuck is that? I forget his name, but like kind of her boyfriend or whatever guys she's with.
Don't remember his name at all.
Yeah, I wrote down some of the characters. I wrote down some of the like main characters' names, but not all of them. And like I forget the Cenobite's name. I think it's like Butterball. Is that his name? The kind of type of one with glasses. Yeah, the fat one with glasses.
Yeah, Butterball.
He's like coming for him, and then like the house is like collapsing. And it just falls on him. It's like oof. Like they seem kind of like incompetent in that scene almost. Like they're not really like the fucking like giant thing's chasing her, and they're like just like I feel like it's more low scale or lower scale in this one than it is in some of the other ones when they're like walking down the street blowing stuff up like in 3 and stuff, which we'll get to. But I don't know, I really like the whole vibe of this movie, and I like the characters.
Score also is the cherry on top.
Yeah, just the whole thing really great. The one thing that's kind of confusing to me is I thought it was kind of odd how it's like she just grabs a puzzle box and they're coming for her and she like messes around with it and then it sends them back to hell. And that just felt kind of like not convenient, but like what even happened there? It's just like I don't know. That was kind of a little bit weaker element. Like just I'm gonna do this and then it it sends them back, and it was seemed kind of convenient maybe. And another thing that confuses me that was never really explained, except for maybe I'm just missing something. But who is that homeless looking guy that's like following Kirsty?
The homeless.
And then at the very end, they never explain it. I expected like because he shows up at the end of 2 as well.
There's a homeless guy in most of them, I think.
But here's the thing. So he's following Kirsty around. He's like in the pet shop. He's eating crickets for some reason. And then at the very end, this was also kind of stupid. She has the puzzle box and just throws it in like a random fire. That's like on the street. Just like tosses in like that's definitely the best way to like dispose of it. I mean, maybe she just doesn't wants to get it off her hands or whatever. And then he walks up, the homeless looking guy, and he picks it up. Then turns into a giant flying like skeleton demon and flies away. And
Yeah,
it's like, what the
that's
fuck?
an element from the book they don't really
Oh, have you read the book?
divulge. I haven't read the book, but I have like looked into it
Mm.
because I'm interested in reading it. I would definitely read it if I could find it. But
Yeah.
they're like called Eremites. I don't know how to say it, but they're like basically the guardians of the cube. So
Okay.
they're
But like,
protectors of it.
I thought that was like. And then that's another thing. So like, and then it cuts directly from that, from the flying demon thing or whatever. It like zooms out from the box, and it's someone else, or the same guy from the beginning. I think it's the same guy selling it to someone else, as they did with Frank at the beginning, selling the cube. And did that imply that like that guy, the homeless looking guy that took it and turned it into a flying thing, that he like sells it? Was that the implication? Because like, why would he sell that? Like, why would you sell that to people? You know,
I
like, what's the point in
guess
that? Just to like
to
get
find,
victims, kind of, for
yeah,
Pinhead, or so he can like tear them apart and get that good nut. I don't know. I was just confused about that element of it, and I thought, oh, they'll probably explain it later because
I
they explain a whole bunch of other stuff, but they never explain that guy. And
typically the cube tends to find people who are in search of like selfish desires.
mm,
And I think that would is pretty much their job. They're attracted to these people and find them and try to sell them the cube because those are the type of people that Cenobites desire or need.
yeah,
They
yeah, I
seek
guess so.
out
It's
the
just
lust and desire and they find it and it kills them.
I just didn't think it was very clear what was happening in with the homeless guy thing. It was just kind of like, what the fuck? And I did figure that was probably something from the book that didn't maybe was kind of lost in the book to movie adaptation.
Yeah.
With the ending. I do think the ending's maybe a little bit weak because of that. Just it's not bad. It's not a bad ending, but I think that's a little bit weaker than maybe the rest of the film. Yeah, a little piece of trivia I read on IMDb. It said Sean Chapman, the actor of Frank, all his dialogue was dubbed over by another actor.
Yeah, because I think they wanted to film in London because Clive Barker's English.
Yeah, but then they wanted to set it in America, so they dubbed over some of the English actors with. That's kind of odd. It didn't really look like it. I never noticed it.
It's
Sometimes you can notice that
yeah,
type of thing in '80s movies, but yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. Anything else you want to say before we give it our rating and move on to Hellbound?
No, I think I've pretty much covered my bases.
Okay, yeah, like I said, this is definitely one of my favorite horror movies, and I would give it an 8 out of 10, solid 8.
Yeah, 4 out of 5, which would be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And now I guess we can go on to Hellraiser 2, which I, for some reason, don't have any notes on, but I've seen the movie plenty of times. Because, like, there was a period of time where I would watch Pluto TV, and they have a horror channel. For some reason, Hellraiser 2 would play, like, fucking constantly.
I think I've
Attention to
seen
it,
bits
but
of this on TV before, actually, too, when I was younger. Just like, I forget which channel or whatever, but like, I remember it just seeing parts of it and thinking, oh, it's like a creepy horror movie. How scary, because like I didn't know anything about movies or horror.
yeah.
And just like when I watched it for the first time this week, I kind of just recognized a few scenes. Like I recognized the mattress scene in particular. We'll get to it, but there's just some stuff that I remember like seeing that on TV at some point. But yeah, you wanna describe what this movie's about?
Yeah, so leading into Hellraiser 2, obviously follows pretty much, I think, immediately after the events of the first one. Kirsty is now admitted to a psychiatric hospital, and the hospital is ran by a pretty malicious doctor called Dr. Chenard, and he is into the whole, like, I guess, cult lore of the boxes and the whole puzzle box thing. And yeah, I mean that kind of sums it up. And then I kind of forget how the cube gets there, but Shenard is searching for the doorway to hell, and
Yeah, he's kind of
leading.
obsessed with the whole Cenobites and was it Lament configuration? he's kind of obsessed with all that. He's got like the whole room full of stuff, and he's like, yeah, I like this one. I didn't love it. I think it's I feel like it's just a big step down from the first movie, just like
plot-wise.
Plot-wise, and just in general. But it's definitely still a good, decent movie.
Are still on point, and there's actually some pretty good cinematography in the second one.
Yeah.
Compared to the first one, but it lacks a little bit of the substance that the first one had. It's more of a style over substance kind of thing in the second one. It's
a very 80s horror sequel, which isn't really a bad thing, but it's very much a horror sequel, you know? And
the idea that everything should be bigger and better.
Expanded
upon, but yeah.
And it's just a bit cheesier, I think, than the first one. Like, it's not as, I don't know, I feel like the first one's really...
First one had the most attention from Clive Barker. This one still had Clive attached, and I think this the only other film where Clive was what's the word I'm looking for? Like central component to the creation.
He's like really involved with it and stuff. Because like when I watched this for the first time this week, I thought like, oh, this is kind of weak. You know, this isn't really that great. But after watching the other sequels, like this one's like kind of a masterpiece compared to some of the other ones, and like I kind of appreciate it more actually after watching all the other ones. And so Kirsty's in a mental institution, which I feel like I've seen that in other horror sequels. I forget which one. I think like Final Destination 2. Yeah, Dream Warriors, Final Destination 2. Just like
any other ones.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it somewhere else too, but I don't know.
Kirsty arrives at the hospital and she's screaming about what she saw, but nobody believes her. They think
I know. It's not a horror movie, but Terminator 2. That's what I'm thinking of with Sarah Connor and yeah. It's not a horror movie, but that's what I was thinking of. It's just that same type of thing where nobody believes her because she, sounds fucking crazy, demons and puzzle boxes and stuff.
I kind of forgot the inciting event where the doctor guy ends up believing her.
So, yeah, I remember there's maybe this is stupid because I just watched it less than a week ago, but some of the movies kind of blended together a little bit. That's why I have so many notes to remind me of stuff. But there's Kirsty starts seeing visions of her father, I think, or her father's calling her to get him out of hell. Kind of. And
or is it her dad?
I think it's her dad, but was it maybe? I don't really remember. Fuck, this is so unprofessional of us. But anyway, there's Dr. Chenard, was that his name? Yeah. Or Philip. He brings the guy back to a crazy guy that's scratching at himself. Onto the mattress. Oh, I know. Did Kirsty say something about the mattress? Where
she
because in the first movie,
Chenard, and then Chenard catches on to because Chenard's following the stuff with the box, so he believes her, but he doesn't say he believes her. So he goes to the home and steals the mattress.
Yeah, that's it. And then because in the first one, Frank kills Julia, he stabs her, and then she dies on the mattress, I guess. Which I thought in the first one was kind of a weak death for what kind of a evil bitch she is, she just kind of stabs her in the stomach. But anyway, he brings the guy up, and then I forget if Chenard knows what's going to happen or not, but the guy thinks there's bugs all over him, which I think this is probably the best scene in the movie, at least I think. It's really cool. Yeah, he takes a knife and just starts fucking ripping his skin apart. It's just pure self-mutilation, which is really cool. It kind of reminds me of a scene in Martyrs where someone does something similar. But he's cuts himself all up, and the blood goes into the mattress, and I guess touches Julia's blood, which this is something also that confuses me about the reanimating thing. She didn't really have to do with the puzzle box other than that, Frank. So, I don't know why she's also reanimated from blood or someone's blood touching her blood. Because because she didn't even, like Frank, he did the whole thing. He was torn apart and like, doomed to be tortured or in hell or whatever, with the Cenobites. But like, she wasn't. So
Yeah,
it's
she
almost
didn't
like
really have a connection
anyone
to the
that's like
Cenobites.
involved with or knows of the Cenobites' existence will be reanimated by someone else's blood. Which is, I don't know. Maybe I'm being nitpicky, but then she like comes out. She's all like half, or she's like all skinned, which is a bit odd because like in the first movie, Frank is just like a. I guess he's made the same. Anyway, she like comes out, and that's just a really great scene with
Well, I
her
guess
coming out
it's
of the mattress.
because
And just, like,
in the first movie, Frank is torn apart. She just got stabbed, like we said, so
oh
her
yeah,
body wasn't mutilated.
yeah, you're right. But they're like crawling across the floor, and there's blood all over, and she like, consumes his energy or whatever the fuck they do, and
Yeah.
that's just a really good scene. And then she's with Chenard.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he like immediately wants to fuck her, like even though she's like doesn't have any skin, like he's like kissing her and stuff. Like it was just such a weird, like why? Like I get that he's like maybe obsessed with this whole like
They do be kinky, though.
Yeah, I guess so. And fuck, what happens after that? What happens after that point?
She after that, cursed. Oh yeah, the doctor who believes the other doctor who's good believes Kirsty was
Kyle.
in the room during that time. Yeah,
I wrote that down.
Sees this.
Yeah, he gets her out, and then they go to Chenard's house, and Kirsty sees like the whole room full of like was it dead patients, I guess, that Chenard brought in for Julia to consume.
Yeah,
which is another thing. Maybe I'm thinking about it too hard, but like in the first movie, like you said, Frank was completely torn apart, so she had to bring, I think it was like 3 or 4 guys she brought back for him to eat. But like in this, and like by the end of the first one, he's completely back. Frank's completely back into human form. But like in this one, like there's like so many people. There's like 12, 15 girl or people laying around. I don't know why so many.
From. I guess the psychiatric ward.
Yeah, I think he was getting like patients that were locked up in the basement or whatever. But
which is fucked up itself.
Oh, I remember. Man, it's so stupid that I don't remember this because I just watched it. But then Chenard brings the girl they set up earlier. She likes to do puzzles. To come do the puzzle box to summon Pinhead. And they summon Pinhead and Kirsty, and I think the girl, they both run into hell because she wants to find her dad. And then they're in hell. And that's like the whole kind of next part of the movie, is when they're actually in hell. And this is where I think it starts getting a bit cheesy. Because, like,
I'm not entirely a big fan of. I mean, the labyrinth idea is cool, but I just.
A giant maze. Like, what the fuck?
Is not what I expected from a realm that's full of gore.
Yeah,
like the Cenobites all gored up, and then it's just
like there's some cool imagery. There's some cool imagery of like them standing there, and there's just these like endless mazes. But like, I feel like there needs to be something more grotesque for like, what it is. And then there's like the scene where I forget the girl's name, but the puzzle girl. She's like running, and there's like a carnival. There's like a demonic carnival, and it's like, really, like it felt like something out of like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which isn't a bad thing, but it was just kind of odd, and that's why I think this one, Hellbound, gets a bit cheesier. Which isn't really bad, but it's still
more focused on the scares, I guess, than actual like substance.
Yeah, and okay, so then Frank is there, and like he fucking, I don't really remember.
Frank is pretending to be her dad.
Yeah, and then I think Julia kills him, and then Chenard turns into a fucking Cenobite.
Weird.
Which he's really cool. He's really cool. He's like levitating. He's got like snakes coming out, or like snake-like things in his fingers. He's kind of a cool Cenobite. There's like a thing called Leviathan. It's like the Cenobite's master. It's like their god.
Like, irritates me. Like it's just a fucking diamond.
Yeah,
thing.
I don't get that. And
like, really, it's like you build this realm up to be scary, and it's Oh, floating diamond in the sky.
Yeah, it was, and like apparently he or the Leviathan thing is like emitting some kind of signal or something or sound. And I read in the IMDb trivia that it's like Morse code for like God or God. So is that God? Just a giant fucking diamond? Like, I don't know. It's just I don't really love
I mean,
that whole
speaking of
part.
God, there's a scene in like we'll get to it, but
Oh
there's
yeah,
the
I
first
have
kind of mention of angels, if you will.
yeah, I have some problems with that in Judgment for sure. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
That'll be our last. Yeah, that's ugh. But yeah, I don't really. I don't really love the whole portrayal of I guess that whole realm or hell or whatever the fuck it is
yeah,
in
it's
Hellbound.
definitely
It's just kind
underwhelming.
of yeah. And then like oh yeah, this is something we missed. We see Pinhead.
Yeah, in human form.
Before he was Pinhead, him
The opening scene is
yeah him with the
how Pinhead
box.
came to be.
Which is something I don't think is needed. I don't think it needs to be explained. I think he's really cool and just
Yeah, I would prefer it
explaining his
not to be
background,
explained.
which there's way more of in 3.
Yeah,
Explaining his background, I don't think it. I think it kind of it doesn't ruin his character. He's still a cool character, but it's better without it. It's just like he doesn't need to be explained. We don't need to know everything about him, you know. And yeah, and then like she reminds them all the Cenobites that they're human, and then Schnarr comes and kills them. I forget
which
why
is
he's killing him.
disappointing as hell because it's like this guy just became a Cenobite and all of a sudden he's powerful enough to kill these guys.
Yeah, what the fuck? And like, um, yeah, they kills them all, and then they like turn back into their human form, and like one of them's just like a
Which
little kid. Like, what the fuck?
Chatterer is a
Chatter.
kid. I'm like, I don't understand what happened there.
Also, I don't understand why he looks like he's got the body of like an adult when he's Chatterer, but like,
I'm
what?
more interested in the backstory of Chatterer than any other Cenobite at that point. Like, what does
Yeah,
this dude a kid?
I don't know. He was
What
just
the fuck
like
happened?
he was really horny and just got the
I
box
don't
and was like,
know.
I'm gonna call something cool. It's like,
Puberty.
yeah, it's like that. You know that short story Guts by Chuck Palahniuk?
No, I don't.
Oh man, that's such a good short story. Anyway, I'll have to send you a link to that or something later. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
short stories. But yeah, I don't really like that whole part. And then like Shinard kills Pinhead, like he's a little bitch, just slices his throat, and then he dies temporarily, I guess. But I don't really like that. That whole scene was kind of lame. I'm mostly talking shit about this movie, but I do think it is. I think it's decent. And then what happens? I think, fucking Shinar gets his head pulled off. I remember that. I remember that being a cool effect, but I don't remember why. He gets decapitated, but I don't remember why. I
I don't
think,
remember right, but I do like the whole betrayal or aspect towards the end where Kirsty uses the skin of Julia.
yeah, I like that because it's like with Frank in the first one when he did
Yeah,
that with her father. Yeah, I like that.
that whole skin sloughing off thing is pretty neat
Yeah,
and a weird
yeah.
visual.
And then what happens?
And it's pretty much it. I
That's pretty
mean,
much it. They they leave. I think they leave Hell, her and
they
the girl.
leave and then it flash forwards to them clearing out Shenard's house and
Yeah, and the
then
pillar. I think it's called the Pillar of Souls or some shit.
the one
Um,
guy gets sucked into the mattress, which okay, and
yeah,
then
and
there's a
like the guy
pillar
walks in,
now.
and it just pulls up, and he's like, and then you see the homeless guy, and he's in the Pillar of Souls, and he said, I forget what he says, but like, why? Like, what's he doing? It's just so weird and like unexplained, especially in the first couple of movies with him. It's just like, what is happening? I thought that was kind of I like that ending. I thought it was kind of funny.
Which I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like this is where I think the ending is fun. It is kind of goofy, and you like it instead of just being like an actual like solid ending. So yeah, it's pretty much. I don't think past this for the next couple, it's not really serious anymore. I don't at least as serious
Yeah,
as the first one. But yeah, overall, I think it's. Oh, what?
I mean, yeah, it's no going with what you were saying.
Oh no, I was just finishing up. If you
Oh
have
yeah,
anything more to say?
I mean overall, like it's a pretty okay film.
Yeah,
It's definitely one of the better films compared to the other ones.
yeah. It's also like
Um,
it's just I think it's a solid sequel. I don't think they could really for as far as horror sequels go, it's decent. Um, yeah, and it's got its moments, like I said, with the whole mattress scene and like just some of the stuff. Some of the stuff in Hell is cool with Shinard and stuff. I just don't overall. It has its moments, but I don't think it's as interesting as the first. Um, yeah, I would give it a 6 out of 10.
I think I gave it about 3.5, so about
Yeah,
six,
7.
7.
Okay, yeah, that's yeah about the range. So we feel about the same so far, don't we?
Yeah.
Um. So, also, I don't think we said this at the beginning, but this was from 1988, and it was directed by Tony Randall, who made a movie called Ticks, which I want to see.
Oh, I want to see Ticks, but
It reminds me just like those like bug horror movies. Like I saw a movie called Slugs a while back.
I do not like bugs either. Like, I
I
don't
like
like
bugs.
bugs.
Bugs are cool.
I
I
mean,
don't
some
have
bugs
a
are cool. It depends on where these bugs are located. Really.
yeah. I mean, yeah, some bugs you wouldn't want like in your bed, but like even spiders. Like I don't mind spiders. They're cool. Yeah,
I tried
I fuck with them.
convenient with spiders because I
Oh,
mean
I
I
still
don't.
smash them. I mean, fuck spiders, but like they're fine. I mean, I don't have like I guess I just don't have arachnophobia, but I'm more of a afraid of snakes type of guy.
Ticks is on Tubi and has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe we'll have an episode on it
Yeah, we
at
should
some
just.
point.
It looks funny. I mean, yeah,
A
ticks.
bug
Like it's
horror
called ticks.
episode.
Yeah, we should do. We should talk about both ticks and slugs because I remember kind of liking slugs.
There's
Just
also Squirm, which has a fucking insanely cool poster.
worm,
Unfortunately, the Squirm.
worm. Let me look that up.
But it has an insanely
That's a
cool
cool
poster.
poster.
Unfortunately, the movie is not as cool as the poster,
Hmm.
and it's about fucking killer worms.
I don't know. Like bug horror isn't. I don't think that's a very great concept to start out with because all you have is like a cool scene where like someone falls and like they're just covered in whatever it is and they're ripped apart or eaten and they're screaming. About
I
it.
think
It's something you can put in like a trailer, and like other than that, there's not too much you can do with the concept
if you
of killer
count
bugs.
the Bay as a bug horror, because the Bay is about a parasite, I think the Bay does it well.
Oh well, Parasite. That's different. That's
Yeah.
I feel like that's got more potential. More potential than like a tick is gonna eat you, or like a fucking worm's gonna Um, same with snakes. Like I feel like I haven't seen any of them, but like I kind of want to watch like a snake horror movie because I have really
There
bad
was a fucking
ophidiophobia.
movie I remember, like,
Anaconda.
no, I was a kid and it was about this house and it was infested with snakes. That's all I remember.
Because like that,
Like,
I don't like that. I mean, just snakes. Just the sight of a snake fucking creeps me out. So like, I really want to watch some snake horror movies just to get like extremely triggered by it. Because like I don't really get much visceral
I had a,
reactions out of horror movies anymore, or really any movie. Because I'm
I
emotionally
mean,
dead
unless
inside.
I'm the same way, unless it's like body horror. Some of that stuff is a little icky, I
I
guess
don't
you could
like
say.
when people like swallow like a gross liquid. Like I like there's a scene in what the fuck is that? Oh, the Human Centipede 2, where someone is forced to eat like cold like pea soup or something, or like cold like canned soup, and they like put like a tube down their throat and make them eat it, and like that was so disgusting to me. That's like ugh, and they're like choking on it. But like all the other like fucked up stuff in Human Centipede 2, I couldn't care less about. But it's just that type of thing I don't like. I don't like what I don't know. What are we even going on about? Let's talk about Hellraiser Hell on
Which
Earth.
is Hellraiser Hell on Earth.
I'll introduce it.
I
I will.
actually
It's my
kind of.
turn. It's my turn. Um, so Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. from 1992, directed by Anthony Hickox, is about it's about a reporter who is looking into someone who was killed by the Cenobites, which she doesn't know that's what it was. And meanwhile, Pinhead is trapped in the Pillar of Souls and is trying to get revived, like Frank and Julia in the previous movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, also the main character. Let's see, what's her name? Joey? I
Joey?
think is her name.
Yeah, Joey.
Joey. She's also having dreams of her father in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think of Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth? Because I really enjoyed it.
It's not as good as the first two technically in terms, but I kind of almost like it. I like it better than the second, even though I wouldn't rate it as high as the second, because it's more fun. It's a very fun, cheesy It's not even an 80s horror movie. It's a 90s horror movie.
Feels like an 80s horror movie,
but feels very 80s in execution.
It feels very 80s in the like cheesy sense, compared to like the first one, where it's the 80s more serious.
Pinhead in it.
And yeah, it's got the most Pinhead
in it. Series where like Pinhead kind of turns into like a quipping.
This is the point in the series where they decided, fuck it, let's just make Hellraiser, but it's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, pretty much. I mean, Pinhead is acting like Freddy Krueger. He's quipping and making jokes and just like fucking killing people for no reason.
And a lot of fun and ridiculousness.
And there's like stuff in fucking dreams, and like he's tricking her through her dreams. It's so cheesy, and it's pretty stupid. But like, I really enjoyed this. Like, this is probably my second favorite movie out of all of them. We'll probably rank them all at the end of when we're done talking. But like, this is probably my second favorite out of all of them. I really enjoyed it. It's just like
probably the same for me.
It's just a lot of fun, and like it's not great. It's got its problems. I think some of the stuff with her seeing visions of so I guess we're talking spoilers, so we can say it. But so I guess her father was Pinhead before he turned into Pinhead, and he is wasn't it?
They have two different last names. I don't know. Maybe grandfather.
Wait, what the fuck?
I don't know.
Wait, am I completely messed up? Because I was kind of confused by this whole. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, and I'm still a bit confused.
Yeah, it's his name is Wait, what the fuck? All right, sorry. Just looking at it on Letterboxd, and it says his name was Elliot Spencer, and her name is Joey Summerskill. All right, so I thought that was her father, wasn't it? Because she said like my father was in Vietnam.
I think he's a World War I guy, actually. I don't.
It was World War I. I am completely. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Which, I mean,
yeah, we're trying.
Does it really? I don't know why World War I. I think it would be more interesting if he was kind of like a Nazi.
His uniform was World War I think. Let me just look it up on fucking Wikipedia. The plot's not fucking hell. I can't believe I'm messing this up so bad. So, yeah, I'm obviously, we're not Hellraiser experts. We're not those. I'm sure there's other videos of people who have seen all of them like 10 times plus and can like describe every element. But like, I've only seen this once.
I watched
between a billion
the majority of them in like almost one sitting, pretty much. So they got kind of blurred together at some point.
Revelation of his own former humanity in Hellraiser 2 causes Pinhead, a demon called Cenobite, to be split into two entities: his former self, World War I British Army Captain Elliot Spencer, and a manifestation of Spencer's id, which takes on the form of Pinhead. What the fuck? Yeah, well, Spencer ends up in limbo. Pinhead is trapped along with the puzzle box among the writhing figures, distorted faces etched into the surface of an intricately carved pillar, the Pillar of Souls. Yeah, I didn't really get that whole aspect of it, of like the good side of Pinhead is in like a dream state or whatever, and he's like trying to talk to Joey.
The lore of this movie kind of just takes a backseat towards the fun for me.
But yeah, I was wrong. It wasn't Vietnam, and it wasn't her father. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. For some reason, I was under the impression, because didn't she say I don't even know. Whatever. Yeah, that's the element of the movie I don't like. I don't like the whole dream stuff. I don't like the good side of Pinhead is. I don't like any of that. I think that takes it down. I probably would have rated it higher too, if it wasn't for that. But yeah. So I guess it's like his good side because in the second movie, Kirsty said you were once human, and then he realized something. I don't like that. I like Pinhead as just like this cold, like fucking like
I'd rather him be the less I know, the better.
Yeah, I like him as like this cold, like kind of ominous figure that like walks in that's like and with pins in his head and he's like a sadomasochistic demon. That's cool, not fucking World War One trapped in a dream. That's just I don't really like all that. Anyway, so what I do like in this movie is there's like a club owner and he's kind of an asshole.
Yep, JP Monroe.
Yeah, and he bought the Pillar of Souls because I guess it was just in some like shitty thrift store or something.
Around for art, I guess, to decorate the club, and then he comes across the homeless guy who sells him the Pillar of Souls because it fits his aesthetic.
Yeah.
And kind of he's in the chaos.
Yeah, and then he gets blood on it for some reason, which kind of brings back Pinhead. And then, let's see.
Pinhead kind of like, doesn't he like convince
his head
him
just appears? Yeah, his head just kind of appears in it, and then like, what is it? He's like what's his name? JP. He's like fucking someone, and then like Pinhead awakens, and it reminded me of like in like a Friday the 13th movie when like if someone has sex, then like instantly the bad guy's gonna come around. Like I don't know why that is in horror movies, but and then she walks over to look at it or something, and then he like sucks her skin off, and it's like this really cheesy effect where like it just like all of a sudden like all her skin just gets pulled off, and then he like consumes her like in the previous movies when they do, and he's like coming back bit by bit,
and then like it's a repeat of like 1 and 2 where Pinhead is now the person who convinces someone to do the bidding for them.
Yeah.
And resurrect them.
Yeah, and JP, he like has a gun and he shoots him, and then like he's like shooting at him like fuck you or whatever, and then Pinhead like spits out the bullets. That was like such a like kind of cheesy 80s Hulk slasher. Yeah, like, moment. Yeah. And I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy like Freddy Krueger like Pinhead. I mean, I like him better the other way, but it's fun. It's entertaining. And yeah, so he's just trying to bring people back, and then like I think JP's ex-girlfriend, she like ends up feeding him because he was gonna feed her to Pinhead, and then she ends up feeding him to Pinhead, and then. I'm probably missing some of the stuff. I'm missing some of the stuff with Joey or the the main character. I don't really remember. Whatever. And he's Pinhead is like back. Maybe I'm skipping a whole part of the movie. I don't know. But Pinhead is back into he's back into his main form. And then he comes out into the club and it's just fucking like massacring everyone. And I was like, why are you doing this? Like. That's not what Pinhead does. Pinhead, he comes and he he's summoned through the box, and
all of a sudden he's malevolent.
All of a sudden he's just like, it reminds me of that scene, and I think it's Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I think it's 2, where I might be wrong about that. Where Freddy Krueger like jumps on the pool. There's like a pool party kind of, and he's just like massacring everyone there. And it's like for no reason. Like, why? What's Pinhead's motivation for doing this? And he's like laughing, and he's just like, and it's so cheesy. He's like, like stuff's flying all over. There's like, he like appears as a hologram for a second, and in front of like a girl, and then like the hologram morphs into like a crystal that looks like Leviathan from the second movie, and then like it shoves into her face, and it's just like really cheesy kills like that, and, like the CDs. Like fly into the guy's head. I love that. It's just funny and stupid. It doesn't make any sense why
we kind of like skipped over the main character there.
really
Joey.
find that, like I said, I didn't find that whole part of the story interesting. But yeah, so she's
I kind of did. I mean, I
okay.
like
Now let's
the
talk.
JP's ex. I don't remember. I think it's Terry.
Mhm.
Doesn't she fucking die?
Remember how she
I don't really.
dies, but
I
I
don't
think
like how they did Terry because Terry was being dumb and went back to JP and died because of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She was a decent character. Like in the first part of the story, she was like with Joey and stuff, and I kind of forget what happens between with Joey, like between the I know she's watching a
Joey.
video of like Kirsty's, like someone recorded like her in the mental institution. She's watching like a
Yeah,
tape of it.
because she's
Um,
researching into the box because
yeah, yeah,
she walked into the hospital when that whole shit went down, which is never elaborated on again. It's just
yeah. It's just
an
happened.
incident that happens. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Terry was she like witnessed that and like brought the guy
yeah,
in, like who got like half torn apart or whatever. And
and I don't think she ever talks to Terry about it either.
yeah, not really. That's just kind of dropped, but that's like the main incident that like kickstarts the whole movie.
Yeah,
Um,
I just like quoted Pinhead here. Where like there was, I don't remember context, but someone is yelling at Pinhead, and she was like, "Jesus Christ," and he's like, "Not quite."
yeah,
That was fucking hilarious.
yeah, yeah. I like that type of thing. Yeah, I
And the
like that.
whole church scene is amazing.
Yeah. So before we get to that, so yeah, fuck it. Whatever we're missing of the first half of the movie, let's just all right. So let's just cut to the other part. Pinhead just killed all the people, and then I think Joey shows up because she's trying to save Spencer or the good side of Pinhead.
Yeah.
If someone hasn't watched any of these and they're listening to this, it's probably confusing as fuck.
Yeah.
But who cares? So she's trying to like save Spencer. Yeah, Pinhead's name is Spencer. How lame is that? um, and she shows up to the club,
Yeah.
and Pinhead's in there, and then he's like kind of chasing her, and she's running down the streets, and this is where it's like kind of ridiculous. There's like all the sewers are like exploding, and the
Yeah,
cars
with
are
like
exploding. But it's like why?
electricity.
Like what? Like what is Pinhead doing? Like there wasn't that type of stuff in the first or even the second movie. It's like
And like the city never reacts to that shit. There's like no chaos around the city except for like that
yeah,
fucking block that they're on.
it's just like or like empty streets that she's running down. Then like some cops show up and like probably one of my favorite Cenobites, the guy who got killed with CDs turns into like I guess just CD Cenobite is his name, but he's got like CDs in his head. And he throws CDs at people to kill him, and he like kills a cop that way or something. It's just
Which
it's really
is
cheesy, and funny.
hilarious because CDs would not be able to fucking kill anyone.
No, no, yeah.
Just the idea that he throws a CD hard enough to obliterate the fucking skull is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But I like that. I like that character. It's funny. And then there's like a guy. I think it was like Joey's like
Joey's
coworker or
camera
something.
guy.
Yeah, and he's got like a
He
camera in his eye, and he like kills people, and he'll make jokes like, "Are you ready for your close up?" Or like he kills someone, and I was like, "That's a wrap." It was like really cheesy. Like, it's not
Nightmare
it's
on
nice.
Elm Street type one-liners.
It totally feels like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, especially with some of the stuff at the ending with the dream stuff. But yeah, and like I just like that whole part. And then she runs into a church, and like Pinhead walks in. I like that whole scene. It's like I don't know, what is it, the unholy mass or whatever the fuck you'd want to call it. And he's like sticks the pins in his hands.
I am the way.
Yeah, he's doing like the Jesus pose, and it's
It's honestly one of the better scenes throughout the franchise because it's just, I don't know, like what to say. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene, and like, yeah, and then he makes the priest eat like part of his flesh or something, like a fucking.
Especially with Doug Bradley and how he portrays Pinhead.
Oh, it works perfectly. Yeah,
really kills it.
Yeah, apparently that was. I read in the IMDb trivia that was like kind of controversial or something. That scene, like religious people were upset that it was like sacrilegious or whatever, or blasphemous. But it's like fuck you, it's a horror movie.
He actually makes the "I am the way" joke he makes another one later. I forget which movie it was. I think. Well, fuck. I think it's Deader.
Deader? Ew. I don't remember, but yeah, and then she I think it was in the church, but Kirsty actually calls him Pinhead. It's like, take this to Pinhead or something like that. That's the first time he's actually called Pinhead. I don't even know if they call him that after this point, but he's actually called Pinhead. Nickname that. And I guess it's just kind of stuck, unless, were people calling him that before, like, this movie came out, or probably?
I don't know where the Pinhead thing came from. I'm sure, like, after the first one, it was a thing.
Yeah. And then this is also kind of confuses me. So, she sends Pinhead back to hell, I think? Is that what happens? Like she did in the...
Yeah.
Like Kirsty did in the first movie, where they mess around with the puzzle box and then go away.
The puzzle box turns into a fucking dagger, and she sends it back to hell with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I think Terry turns into Cenobite. She like shows up for like 1 second as a Cenobite.
I was upset with how they did Terry. I liked her.
Yeah, she was a good character. They kind of did her filthy.
They did her dirty.
Yeah. And then, so it seems like it's over. You know, she sent them all back to hell, and then
she buries it in concrete at a construction site, and that leads into Bloodlines.
So then, she goes to talk to Spencer, the good side of Pinhead, to save him, who was talking to her through her dreams. And then it turns out that was actually Pinhead tricking her or something, pretending to be good or something to get the limit configure to get the puzzle box. And then what the fuck? And then the good side shows up, and then like they merge. I don't even fucking know. It's just stupid. And then she says like, "Go to hell," which is like, wasn't that used in like a whole bunch of other horror movies, like the Go to Hell? Like, I know they did that in Friday the 13th. I think they did that in Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just like such a generic line. And then I don't know, he like expands, and there's like that really weird of him like all Pinhead all like expanded with CGI or something, screaming. And it's like such a weird scene, and then it just ends. I don't really. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this one?
I wrote down that the club music didn't really fucking fit anything. It was like the whole club has this like punk metal aesthetic, and then it's like kind of just like the music just did not fit, and I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I don't really remember the music in it, but
I also wrote down that there was a painting of a soldier in the art gallery. I was trying to like look around that art gallery for like just hints at something.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
I didn't notice the soldier, but I should have took a picture of it. I enjoyed this film. It's very cheesy fun.
Yeah. Overall, I just it's really stupid and cheesy, but it's just way more enjoyable as like a kind of cheesy slasher movie, because it is kind of a slasher movie in parts.
Yeah, it turned it into a slasher.
It's like the second one is almost there, but it's not quite. I feel like this one's better than the second one, and I would also give this a 6 out of 10. Closer to a 7, because I do like it more than the second. But just some of the dream stuff with Spencer, I don't really like that whole element of it, so that takes it down a bit. But yeah, 6 out of 10. Really solid.
6 out of 10 as well. Yeah, and it's unfortunately the point where everything declines.
Yeah.
Very hard after this. It's a steady decline down. So, Bloodlines. So, Bloodlines comes in because at the end of Hellraiser 3, Joey buries the configuration in some concrete at a construction site.
Which is a way better way of disposing of it than just throwing it in a random fire like in the first one.
And then at the end of 3, there's a big teaser that it leads into this giant building that's pretty much like, I guess, the influence of the cube.
Yeah.
Turned it into a building. And yeah, it's a building now. So, And so Hellraiser 4 is notorious for being the one in space. A lot of horror franchises ended up in space.
I don't know why they think that that's scarier. Like, do they think it's like, ooh, we're in space, we're alien? Like, it's not scarier. Like, what? It's not even cool. But it's just kind of stupid. Like Jason
I
X and
don't
shit.
even
Like,
know. But the general idea of Bloodlines is that it follows the story of the Lamet configuration and the origins of the box and the guy Paul the Merchant, who is the toy maker who made the box that serves as a portal between Hell and Earth. So the movie follows the story from, I don't remember what fucking year it is, like 200 years in the future.
It's 2,127.
And
So,
there's
yeah, it takes place.
a very late descendant of Le Marchant who made the fucking toy box. And he's like imprisoned for whatever. They don't really divulge on that, if I recall correctly. But he's trying to warn the guys that there is something evil on the ship and it's coming for him. And so he gets into telling the story about the origins of the box, which I don't know how he knows, but he knows.
Yeah, so it takes place in 1796, 1997, and 2127. It's like 3 separate storylines, all involving the box and the descendants of the Le Merchant family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. What do you think of this one?
It's not it's better than the next 5, but it's pretty bad compared to the first 3.
Yeah, so I thought this was when I watched it, I was kind of yeah, for sure. Plot's kind of a total mess. When I was watching this, I was kind of checked out, which kind of sucks. I should be giving it my full attention. I was just kind of checked out the whole time. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was kind of excited to see a Hellraiser movie in space. It was like, oh man, they actually did that. Because like I wasn't aware of that. I knew other movies did that, like Jason X and stuff. But it was like, man, they're actually doing Hellraiser in space. That's that's awesome. And then it cuts back to fucking 1796 with the fucking French or whatever. And it's like, oh, so
with a very young Adam Scott.
Yeah, with long hair.
He was playing an evil guy this time, which I don't know if this was his first role or whatever, but
I think it was. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure it was one of his first roles.
It's very amusing to see an evil Adam Scott.
Yeah, I thought overall it had some interesting ideas in it. It felt a little bit more ambitious than the first couple. Or 2 and 3. The first one's the best, like I said, but it felt like it was more ambitious and it knew what it was going for, but something just fell apart, so it just came out as kind of a mess. And apparently there was like a longer cut that was like an hour and 55 minutes or something, like almost 2-hour cut of it that was like not the final cut. They cut a whole bunch, like they cut like a full half hour out of it. So maybe that made it more coherent, but I don't think it's. I'm kind of glad it wasn't that long.
I got the beginning a little messed up. So the beginning is in 2127. Dr. Paul Merchant, which is the descendant of the guy, an engineer, isolates himself in a room aboard the Minos, a space station that he designed. And these armed guards are trying to break in, but he's not letting them in. So he like manipulates a robot to solve the box, destroying it in the process. The guards break through and apprehend him, and then this is where they explain what the fuck is going on with the box.
Yeah. And Pinhead shows up on like a security camera. He's like looking into it. That was kind of funny. I don't know why, but it was kind of.
Then we're in Paris, French, 1796, and
there's a dude making the lament configuration for a cultist, I guess, to give to him because it was commissioned. And then that dude like does a ritual and like turns some girl into like
demon Angelique.
Yeah, that's where I started to check out. Kind of, it was like I don't know. Yeah, there's that whole thing with like Angelique, and then oh yeah, because I guess Pinhead doesn't exist back in fucking
Yeah.
he came around in like the early 19 like around World War One. Yeah, one of my notes is just one of the I don't know what they are, like the people who are breaking into the ship in the futuristic. What
I'm
are
not
they?
sure it's ever
They're like
divulged on.
I don't know. They're just like space police or something, I guess. But one of their
I
names is Rimmer. The name is Rimmer. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, I don't know. It was just
Sounds
kind
like
of
the name of
bland.
a Cenobite.
Yeah, it was just kind of bland. Like I just didn't care what was happening. Yeah, like we said before, it's not as bad as later ones, but it's just kind of forgettable.
Yeah,
Like,
it gets really messy. They jump timelines.
yeah, yeah. Then there's the
Um,
whole like 1997 part where fuck what even happened. So he is like designing like a virtual lament
like
configuration,
he's building a
and
skyscraper that resembles the Lament configuration.
yeah, and it's like I guess Pinhead or I really should have paid more attention to this movie. I had no idea what the fuck was going on with some of it. Um,
I want to point out that in the third one, not Kirsty, Joey buries it like into the fucking ground.
yeah,
But when they find the box in the building, it's in a pillar for some reason. Like the construction crew just was like, "Oh, whatever, I'll keep it here."
yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense.
But he's building like something that's like the next next step up lament configuration. But I forget how that worked into the plot.
It's a spaceship, I think. Well,
What?
it eventually becomes a spaceship.
Yeah, in the end, it's kind of like the twist or whatever. But I don't really get what I think his name. It's like the modern day because this was in the '90s. So that guy is building something, but I don't know what. And it's something about the lament configuration. And I didn't really catch what was going on there. And like, I think Pinhead and the Demon Lady, they like both wanted it or something, and they like kidnap his kid.
The
Oh,
Elysium configuration, an anti-lament configuration that creates perpetual light and would serve to permanently close all gateways to hell.
yeah,
Which
and that's
does
the one in the
eventually
future,
become a
right?
spaceship.
So, because it's a twist that the guy in the future
He's
who
trying to
summoned
make
Pinhead,
it
he's
in
trying
the
to trap
90s.
Pinhead. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's trying to trap Pinhead, and the entire spaceship like folds up onto itself into a giant lament configuration, traps Pinhead, and like
And that's
damns him
the
to
end
hell
of it.
forever. Or whatever.
Pinhead's gone.
And you know
But
what I
it's
like?
2127, so it doesn't fucking matter.
I do like this about it. So, since they did that in the future, that is, that's like the end of Pinhead. He's gone. It's over. And what they usually do in these types of movies, is they always have to kill off the bad guy at the end of the movie, and they have to bring him back in the next one. And I don't really like that. Like they do that in every Friday the 13th. They do it in every Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's like after this point, even though the movies suck after this point, they never have to kill Pinhead in it because maybe even the people who made these movies after this point weren't even thinking this, but like how Pinhead, what his demise is kind of, but it's in the future, so there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to bring him back from there because they're not going to make another movie in the future. So every movie after this, Pinhead always kind of wins, or he never dies, or they never like defeat him, because it is taking place in like modern times. So I kind of like that element of it. Except for in Judgment, which has a weird, like, different ending for Pinhead.
I kind of actually like Judgment, but yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. We will. But there's something I wanted to point out about Bloodline. There's a Cenobite dog, but how do you turn a Cenobite into, or how do you turn a dog into a Cenobite? Because, like, why was it like? Don't you need to like torture it or like have it summoned and then you turn it into one? Like you don't just turn random things into Cenobites. It's got like the chatterer teeth, I think, and I didn't really get that. Like, why is there a Cenobite dog?
I guess just to bring something new to the table.
But
So I don't know how you ran out of ideas, but I guess they did maybe.
Oh, and then there's like security guards get like their faces like twist together. That was kind of cool.
That's actually a cool scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for like the mask that they have on or something.
Yeah.
When it's happening. They had like mask on when it was happening, but like after it happens they don't have mask on. And they're just twisted together.
Yeah, but that was kind of a cool scene. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have a lot to say about this one.
I don't either.
Even the ending with Pinhead was like, oh, the ship is actually, that was kind of a little bit stupid, but I don't know. I mean, I don't hate this movie. This is probably our shortest discussion.
It's only going to get shorter, kind of technically.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think it's a little bit ambitious for like the whole like three separate stories with three separate the merchants or whatever, and like I kind of like that. You know, I respect it. It's kind of cool, but I just think the final product is kind of a mess.
Pretty average. I think I'd give it like 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give this one a 5 out of 10. I
5.
don't hate it.
It's about average.
I might even like it more if I rewatched it because like I think it's not terrible. I mean, some of the stuff like putting it in space that's stupid, but like yeah, I don't think it's horrible. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most blander and forgettable ones out of the good ones, I'd say. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
Because like the first 4, they're kind of their own thing. Because after this point, all the movies, at least most of the movies after this point, were other scripts that were turned into a Pinhead or turned into a Hellraiser movie. But like this was actually written. This is like the last like, at least I think Judgment.
Judgment or
Revelation and Judgment.
Revelations was the kind of, we'll get to it, but it was basically they wrote it to keep the rights.
Yeah, but that was written as a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, it was written as a Hellraiser movie.
All the ones in between that, this is kind of like the end of like the official like, you know, because those don't even, the later ones that were written as Hellraiser movies, they don't even have fucking Bradley, you know.
Story.
Yeah, this wraps up like the main story. Like this is I would say it's probably the blandest out of the first 4, which is like that whole little it's a word, quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy.
Whatever. It's like it's the weakest out of those, but it's not terrible. I don't hate it. It's just like kind of average and lame. I'd give it a 5. Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, and then now we're on to Inferno.
Oh boy!
Which is it's fucking
the beginning of the end. In my opinion.
You want to introduce it?
All right. Yeah. So, Hellraiser Inferno, from 2000, directed by Scott Derrickson, who was the director of Doctor Strange and Sinister. A couple other movies too, but those were his most popular.
This was like his first movie, I think.
I think so, yeah. This is about a shady police detective becomes embroiled in a strange world of. Oh, that's fucking stupid. Why does Letterboxd always have such stupid descriptions? Let me pull it up. It just sounds so cheesy. Letterboxd.
On some shit.
Was it 5? Yeah, this is 5. Oh fuck! No, I don't want.
This is like the point of the series where you kind of you're trying to pay attention, but you can't.
Yeah. So, the plot is there's a detective who is kind of like a dirty cop. He's kind of a bad guy. You know, he's like kind of an asshole. And he gets. Yeah. He goes to a murder scene and he finds the box and he becomes like a part of like the whole thing involving someone called the engineer. And it's very weird and it's not very good in my opinion. Yeah, this is the point.
I feel like there actually was a bit of ambition there, and that's probably largely because of Scott Derrickson, because he is a competent director. Doctor Strange
feels like they tried.
Pretty solid films.
I feel like if they would have cut out all the stupid Pinhead or all the Hellraiser references,
better script.
Which is basically what it was. It's a bunch of Hellraiser references. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh look, the box. Yeah. Like, oh, Pinhead showed up for like a second. It's just. I mean, I don't know. Maybe on its own, without the Hellraiser stuff, with its own plot, maybe it would also be mediocre. But I feel like I wouldn't have disliked it as much. Because, like, yeah, the entire thing is just he's having like visions of like people showing people like turn their heads and then they're a Cenobite, kind of like Jacob's Ladder.
It's very Jacob's Ladder.
But like, it's okay. Like the execution of it is fine. But like, compared to the other movies, it's like this is nothing like what the Cenobites like MO is. You know, they don't just like fuck with people, do creepy things and like scare people and like teach them like. I guess the entire thing is like he's like in his own personal hell.
It's the point of the franchise where everyone, for some reason, in the next few movies are in their own personal hell.
Which is so stupid. Like that's what Jacob's Ladder is, you know? That's what is like in this like purgatory thing.
Yeah.
And they're seeing creepy things and visions. And it's just stupid. And like,
I like the Cenobites in this one.
Yeah, they're
the
cool.
Cenobites are genuinely cool.
Yeah, they are, but like, what they're doing isn't Cenobite-like. I mean, at least it's not consistent with what the other movies, like the early ones, show us what they do.
It's because it wasn't originally a Hellraiser script, and they had to tack it on, and then things get convoluted when you do that.
Which I really don't like. That's what this is like. This and a couple of other ones. It's like the soft spiral of Hellraiser, which I don't know if you like Spiral or not, but I don't like it. I didn't see it yet. Oh, well.
Like, I figured it was kind of like Spiral in a way. Just for detectives.
It's its own, like, weird Hellraiser thing. It's almost like some kind of... It doesn't feel like a Hellraiser movie. It's like, just because the puzzle box is there and because Pinhead shows up, it doesn't make it a Hellraiser movie. It doesn't feel like it, you know? Like, you don't just take
like I was in a fucking purgatory. That's what it made me feel like.
Yeah. And I don't like it. I don't like the whole forced Hellraiser stuff. Like, without it, I feel like I would be like, you know what? It's fine. It's like an okay story that's like Jacob's Ladder. But it's not, because there's all this Hellraiser stuff, and it really ruins it for me. And also, there's like dumb stuff, like there's like a really like kind of lame narration that's like not consistent at all of the guy, like, I don't know, he's saying stuff like, and this is how I start off, and I didn't. It's like trying to be like noirish or something, and it's just like I hate it when narrations are not consistent and they just show up at the beginning and at the very end to like explain something. It's like the laziest way to have like exposition or like just explain like someone's thoughts or something. And I really didn't like that. I don't know. I didn't like the whole thing. Basically, he's like a detective. He keeps finding like crime scenes, and everyone there's like a finger there, like a chopped off finger, and then like it turns out that was like himself when he was younger,'s fingers, like his younger self's fingers. It just doesn't even make sense. Like that whole part of the story, and it is kind of confusing and weird. And I don't even know. Like, what the fuck was a plot? He's like being punished. He's being punished for, and he's like, I guess he relives that. Like, whenever he dies, he has to like wake up, and it's like Groundhog's Day. I don't even know. And like most of the movie, there's this guy that's like his therapist or something, I think. And then it turns out that is the engineer, this guy that's doing all this stuff, or that's like kind of behind everything. Then he turns into Pinhead. So it's like a double reveal, but it's like, this guy isn't even like Pinhead, you know? It's just like this guy doing this whole thing. It totally feels like, you know, it doesn't just feel like it. It is that they just threw Pinhead in there. And I don't like it. Do you have anything to say? I'm kind of going on and
on. It sucks.
It has bad editing, too.
Yeah, there's some interesting visuals here and there, but that's just kind of like all there is.
Yeah, it's like there's a scene at the end where he's like, I forget what he's saying, but it's like, I don't know, Pinhead's like monologuing kind of, and he sees like, there's like, one of the Cenobites that he takes off the mask or something, and it's him inside, or like he peels off his skin or something, and then there's just like the child version in a chair with no fingers. And like that image, like it's cool. It's cool imagery, and that's probably because Scott Derrickson is a decent director. And like you said, it tries, but I just think it fails miserably. Like, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it either, other than I just don't like it. And like people defend this movie. Not a lot of people
say it's the hidden gem of the franchise. I know.
Yeah, because it's like,
I do not
it's so
agree.
cool. It's like I have someone calling it Lynchian. Like, what the fuck? Like, just
It's
because something is like the smallest bit like weird or confusing and maybe doesn't make complete sense, like that does not make it Lynchian. Like, if all you get out of like, I guess like like Lynch's films are way more than just like confusing bullshit. But I guess that's just like all people get out of them, Because I always see people throwing around the term Lynchian, like, yeah, wow, yeah, Hellraiser Inferno, that's pure. Yeah, that's pure Lynch right there. Like, fuck off.
I mean, Lynch directing Hellraiser would be something, but it would never happen.
That would be interesting. They should do that. That should be his new project. It's gonna come out on Netflix or whatever.
Twin Peaks related, to be honest, because they're filming in that town.
Oh, really? What the fuck?
I think so.
I thought that was like done. The whole Twin Peaks thing. I mean, I'll watch whatever
the fuck
he comes out with, but.
Unless it's like I don't know what he's doing, but I'm interested. Whatever. Usually.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll watch anything he does.
But I mean, anyways, back to.
Like, is he doing like season like another season of like Twin Peaks: The Return type of thing, or you think that would be cool? I mean, I kind of like the way that ended, but
I'd be fine with another one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll make like.
I feel like if he did something, it would be fine. Like a lot of directors, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe he'll make it like the Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me of Twin Peaks: The Return. Like all right, we're kind of going on and on about little. Yeah. Anyway, I don't like this movie. It's probably one of my least favorites, actually. Of Hellraisers. It's just lame, and it doesn't feel like the other Hellraisers. It's not like the other Hellraisers, and it's just lame and dumb. And I think some of the acting was kind of bad too from the main guy. It was a little bit didn't really.
Apparently, he's been in some good stuff, but
I just thought it was kind of
acting.
It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like Hellraiser Revelation bad acting. Like, it's just I didn't think he was great, and I don't like it. 3 out of 10. That's
3 out of 10. I think I gave it 2 stars. I guess I'll just stick with that.
Like 4 out of 10 then. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so this is 5. That's 5. We're halfway through all of them. Since we've been talking for quite a while now, we're gonna break it in half and have part 2, which we'll record and upload. Right now, it'll be right out next to it. We're not gonna wait or anything. But so we'll I guess see you in the next part. Whoever's listening to this, if you want to hear us tear Hellraiser Deader to shreds, because we're definitely going to do that. So that's it for now, but we'll be right back in this part 2.